Slam Jam.
Welcome back, everybody. We got ourselves a 6.2k Darkseer replay. It says, hey, BSJ, I've been getting into Darkseer recently, and with the new Ags, he feels really strong. Since I'm not that comfortable on him, I'd love to hear your thoughts on mainly laning, spell uses, item choices. I feel that Ags first is a must since it allows you to split. Literally no better first item unless I need something for survivability. Yeah, that's fair. I haven't played with the new Ags, but that makes sense. I've seen people go Ags first. My vacuum plus wall combo is pretty ass, so don't worry about that. For laning, I would think my Pudge wanted me to Ion him level 1. So he can hook and do random shit, but I felt that using my mana for the wave was more important. Thus, he left lane, did random shit for 10 minutes. I was unable to do much in lane 1v2. Any thoughts on how to best recover from that scenario would be great. If there are any macro movements I could improve upon as well, it would be great to hear. I'm surprised we won this game, because I didn't see how we could stop their team from just killing all their buildings in the first 10 to 20 minutes, but we somehow pulled through. Yeah, man. I played a decent amount of Darkseer when I was in EU, back when I was playing Offlane. EU's like or Darkseer's like a real EU hero. They love playing it there. Don't see it too much in NA. Thank you for the brief explanation of your laning stage. Let's check this out.
This, my friends, is in the bag.
So I think if you're gonna buy an item, it should definitely be the circlet. I think these items. So it makes sense. I see that you understand Darkseer in regards to rushing the bottle. The majority of people I've seen, this may not be perfectly up to date, but I've also seen it during DPC, was they just buy a shit ton of regen and then rush a bottle. So they go like Tango, Salve, like 2 or 3 mangoes, Clarity or whatever, and then maybe a branch. And it's all about getting to that bottle without running out of regen. So my nervousness here is like this replaces regen, which then makes it so you might be stunted before your bottle. The whole idea of Darkseer is getting to that bottle. Ideally, you want a 4-position hero that will go base at some point and then TP back in a lane and fill your bottle. That's pretty much the only way I think Darkseer is playable. The problem with Darkseer in pubs especially is because it is really hard to play those situations where your Pudge just ditches you. To be frank, that's why I stopped playing him in NA, because people don't tend to play with you that well. So they don't play with Darkseer that well because they don't understand Darkseer that well. So I kind of just stopped picking him. But my point being, that can be used, as something that actually matters, is that if you can like duo queue this hero, I think you'd have a lot more fun. But at the same time, if we're going to talk about all the things you could have done despite the Pudge kind of ditching you. You're against a very hard lane, Caudle Weaver. Caudle can blast out your creeps. Weaver can kind of just freely farm. So you prioritize the creeps. I think that's fine. So lane's pushing into you. I would strongly consider blocking the hard camp here. Like just walking over and blocking it. I think anything you do on the left side is way more important than what's happening here. This is why the salve is really important. I think it would have been really important in general on most offlaners. But yeah, Darkseer is going to do exactly what you just did here almost every wave, unless he's just forfeiting farm, which is putting double ion shell or whatever on top of the creep wave and then sitting on top of it and hitting it, right? And trying to get the CS. And the whole idea of Darkseer is if you can get past level 1 and 2, the hero's like way better, right? Because your ion shell almost doubles in damage. So with that in mind, you need to survive the first level or 2. I think every offlaner this patch, at least with the way Dota has evolved over the last couple of years, is all about not griefing yourself on the first like 2 levels. Most offlaners are like way stronger level 3 than they are anytime else. So most of them. So with that in mind, your items just tell me you don't realize how you're going to play the lane. So as a 6.2k player, you're really high MMR, right? And you're new to this hero. So I want you to start thinking about, objectively, what your hero is going to do. Like, you actually played the lane correctly in regards to you iron shell the creeps, you sat on top of the creeps, you tried to hit the creeps, and all that kind of shit. So if you're going to do that, like, objectively speaking, what items do you need to do it? Like, what? You're going to take a lot of damage. That's, like, a pretty obvious one, if you think about it. So if you're going to take a lot of damage, this is going to be the scenario you're in most times. And this is something you should recognize. Maybe you should take 1 or 2 games of Darkseer before you see this, And so the cool thing about your bracket, 6k, it's high enough that you can assume the opponent's not gonna like just give you the lane for free. You know, sometimes I'll try to teach these lessons to like 2 or 3K players, and then the opponent just doesn't harass them at all. But notice how, you know, you're getting harassed a lot. These guys are doing their thing, so you'll learn these lessons quite well. Really important to have that vision, exactly what you're gonna do. So it seems like you know what to do, but then you don't realize what items are needed in order to do it. So you got ditched by, your Pudge. It's kind of just life. I think your death is actually because of your items, though. Like, this mantle is just useless. So I think cutting the waves is a natural thing to do when you're losing the lane pretty badly. Sitting in XP range. Right now, you're just, you know, sitting AFK until you get level 3. That's pretty much all you can do. If you see the Coddle run away at any point, which he did, you can do exactly what you're doing here. This is just fine.
Double kill.
This is great. Yeah, this is great. Gonna sit it outside of your tower. I don't think you should shell there. I don't think that shell did anything. This shell right here did nothing. Your mana's pretty precious. You let the lane go into tower. If you see good Darkseers, you actually wouldn't shell here at all. Objectively speaking, where do you want the lane? You want it right here. Don't let it go into tower range and don't shell it. To be honest, that seems really fucking obvious. But for whatever reason, I can relate to this thought. Where it's like, I have a hero that pushes the wave. Let's push it. No, like, you need to understand, like, why you want to push it or not. As Darkseer, you blocked the big camp. It looks like the big camp's blocked now, or at least you don't mind the big camp getting pulled as Darkseer. I think that's a big part. You don't mind the big camp getting pulled. Compared to a lot of other offlaners, you'll just plop an Ion Shell on one of the creeps in there, and then like you're actually contributing, you're getting gold from it, and all that kind of shit. You don't mind it. So, yeah, just sit this lane outside your tower and don't push it. Instead, you let it go into your tower and you shelled it. The only reason you would push here is if it was 455, you know, because you need to go pick up that bounty rune. But there's nothing for you to push for right now. All you're doing is putting the lane in a disadvantageous spot comparatively to what it is now, and you also cost yourself 110 mana that you absolutely did not have to use. So just because your hero can push the wave does not mean you do. I've talked about time and time again in my like 3K, 4K sessions recently that the first 5 minutes is all about getting as much golden net worth or golden experience as you can with spending as little resources to do it as possible, right? Basically, trying to farm and be efficient with trading. That's basically like, you know, the two words to, or whatever, two phrases to sum this up. So we don't care about pressuring the lane, pushing it into their tower and shit 4 minutes in the game. We just don't care about that. It doesn't exist. That like thought of like pressure creation just doesn't exist at 4 minutes. Sometimes, you know, we're talking like, you know, you're 6K, I understand there's like 5% of games where it will, but the majority of games it won't. So like, I would just ask you to ask yourself why you pushed it there. It's so alarmingly bad in terms of your awareness of the lane equilibrium and what you want to do with it that I really need you to like, you know, dive deep and ask yourself why the fuck you did that. Okay. That's an Ion Shell that you're using for efficiency when you're not winning the lane. I don't like that usage at all. Notice how you're just bullied away from the big camp anyways. I feel like Weaver would have... Oh, he didn't stack, I guess. That's nice for you. Okay. So you tried to vacuum him. Not a bad idea. So this is a situation where you should have cut like 2 creep waves ago. I would have done it even earlier. You're doing it now. Okay. I need you to realize something. I want everyone to look at this for their own sake and ask, what is wrong with what he does here? First and foremost, let's concretely understand fundamentally why you pull creeps here. Like, why am I telling you it's a good idea to cut creeps? It's a combination of several things, okay? Combination of several things. One, are you limiting the Weaver's farm? The answer is no. Like, he's getting any creep he wants, right? 2, are you, like, doing damage to him? You know, like, are you at least making him expend resources to get those creeps? Not really. Maybe he'll have to Sakuchi, but, like, come on, that's not that big of a deal. He's expected to do that. 3, does he threaten you? If he were to get someone to TP for him or anything, would you prefer to be him or you? Like if 2 people showed up in this lane, one from your team, one from his team, would you prefer to be you or him? So what that means is that if you'd prefer to be you, or sorry, prefer to be him, you dodge him at all times because then you're at threat of a gank at any given moment that you're near this Weaver. Or 2, if you are the guy that likes to be near him, you should put yourself in front of his face as often as possible. But I think you and I can both agree that he threatens you more than you threaten him. So the whole idea of this pull is that, or this like cutting of creeps, is you don't shut him down and he threatens you, you don't really threaten him, and you need to play away from him. So when you pull the creeps, why does this allow you to play away from him? You know, I talked about this in my session the other day. You guys just don't seem to understand this. The session I did yesterday or whatever, it was like 5k MMR, 4.5k, so pretty high MMR too. And the guy just didn't understand the idea that if the guy counters you, you just make him go do what he needs to do and make yourself as far away from that as possible. 90% of the time, that's just fucking creeps, guys. So what's the Weaver's timer for chasing you here? It's right here. It's right here. This is Weaver's timer for chasing you. He can't chase you if he has to go farm these creeps, right? He can't fuck with you. So what am I getting at? Don't drag these fucking creeps right next to the Weaver. Don't drag them right next to the Weaver. Drag them to this fucking camp, dude. He's never coming over here. And like, if he's not farming underneath his tower to chase you over here, then so be it. Then so be it, dude. So be it. Who cares? Nobody cares. Like, dude, he's literally missing creeps underneath his tower. His tower's taking damage. Make him chase you, dude. Don't put yourself close to what matters to him. What matters is this area when these creeps hit it. You need to make him run as far away from that as possible to fuck with you, if possible, right? As far away from as possible from that area. Okay. Seems like a concept nobody understands, so I don't know how better to portray it. I'm gonna keep harping on it on every single fucking session I'm in. I have realized, I remember playing Sand King versus Lifestealer. It's a very similar situation. That guy doesn't really kill you, but he wears you down. Like, none of the trades you take with him are, like, efficient for you. If you compare, like, the health and mana cost of every engagement you have with this Weaver, it's not good for you. And I realized it when I was playing Sand King against Lifestealer. You, at this point, should never be over here. Like, literally never. This is, like, no-fly zone. Why? Why is it no-fly zone? Because Weaver cares about your creeps and this big camp. That is what he cares about. That is what is efficient for the Weaver. Thus, no-fly zone. No pun intended. Don't go to the bug who flies. Don't do it. Don't do it. This area, no-fly zone. No-fly zone. You reside over here. You reside here. Just think, if you are behind, where does the opponent want to play? This applies in the laning stage. This applies in the mid game. I made that whole video talking about like 12 minutes in when you're losing, when I was playing PL or PA or something. Think about where the opponent wants to play and play as far away from there as possible. It seems so simple, but yet, why don't we do it? I never did it until like the last 6 months. You're 6k. You're good enough to know where that Weaver wants to play. I know you are. So prove to me that you know where he wants to play by playing as far away from possible. Now that you died a couple times unnecessarily, your tower is definitely going to get pressured. The reason why this is like a negative snowball effect, like it gets out of control really quick, is if you're over here and they eventually kill you when you're over here, then by the time you respawn, the lane's going to be like right here, and then you just resume cutting creeps, right? You just ignore that one creep wave and then just like go back to what you were doing. But like when you die over here, the lane's like already here, and then the lane's getting shoved into your tower, and then like the ability to like break out of your tower is like not possible. So now you're just stuck underneath tower. If that's like any more of a motivational factor, just remember, if they kill you over here as opposed to here, it's like way better, right? It's like way better to die over here. Okay.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Okay, Weaver threw a little bit there. Very nice. Hey man, happens.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
I need you to ask yourself right now what BSJ would yell at me to do right now. Cut the creep wave? Exactly. I need you to explain to yourself, because obviously you can't talk to me, why you're not cutting the creep wave right now. Weaver's respawning in 9 seconds. What respawning to you means is that 9 seconds from now, he's going to tell you exactly where he is. Okay? He's going to be TPing top, he's going to be TPing mid, he's going to be TPing bottom. And that point, you want to have as many of the lanes shoved in as possible, and you want to take as much of the dangerous farm as possible, such that if he comes to your lane, you can just leave. So it is so important that you recognize you have 10 seconds because you see Lesh mid, you see Weaver respawning, that you should make the most aggressive move possible right now, which is to surge yourself to the left and cut the creeps. At this stage in the game, farm does not matter to you. You're an offlaner. Farm does not matter. What matters is pressure. So you're choosing to relinquish all of your pressure in order to get a catapult last hit. That's like what I'm comparing. Ideally, you want to do both. Like, ideally, you want the farm and the pressure. But in this case, you have to choose pressure anytime you can't do both. You have to. You have to. So now there's just this awkward enemy creep wave that's shielding the DK. And, like, this is like fake pressure on the tower. You're just a Darkseer. Like, why is your team here? I would have cut the creep wave, ion shielded, seen everything that's going on here, and I would have TP'd top. That's what I would have done here. Looks like the enemy team is down to feed, though. It's a little awkward. The thing is, the reason why this is so bad to me is because you just lost mid tower. You literally just lost mid tower. I emphasize every play is either good or bad based on the other two lanes. Every time you have 4 heroes on your team show up to a lane, you need to look at the other 2 lanes and be like, damn, does this feel good or not? And if the answer is no, then if you had cut that creep wave and instantly TP'd top or mid, it would have just been infinitely better. You either TP top, ion shell it, and run mid, or you TP mid and defend. Whatever one you think is better. Any of this shit bottom, it's just so awkward, guys. I know you know it is. I know you know. You're 6k MMR. You're like, God, this feels like dog shit. What are we doing here? I know you know it. Okay, you're gonna yoink a 13-minute bounty. Nice.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's structures are fortified.
What need have I for invisible?
Okay. Why is this fight good? This lane's not a problem yet, and this lane's good. Wow. Now we need to disperse. Top lane's a problem. It's either you or PL. You want to go bottom? That's fine.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
I think I highly encourage you, if your carry doesn't seemingly want the dead lane farm, to just take it. Because you're a Darkseer. Your pressure doesn't actually do anything in regards to killing the tower. You're not like a Beastmaster, where if you stay here and you continuously push the lane into the tier 2 tower, it doesn't actually die. Like, the tower doesn't actually die. So this is a situation where once you've gotten the tier 1 tower, you need to ask yourself if your hero represents real pressure on the tier 2. If your hero represents real pressure or not. And since you have the hard carry, I want you to remember that often when you have the hard carry, relieving pressure will be more important than creating it. So the only idea that comes to mind when you're a 2 or a 3 is whether or not your carry is relieving the pressure. Because if he's relieving it, then you go create it. If the carry's not relieving any pressure, meaning he's farming his triangle, then you go relieve it. So, like, this is something that should have been realized, like, 30 seconds ago. There's just a top lane. All these engagements are super awkward. I don't want to be fighting here. The only reason we're fighting here... Why is it bad to fight here as opposed to getting ganked top? BSJ, it may seem weird that you're telling me you'd rather me be farming the dead lane than right here, but why is this weird, guys? Remember how earlier, when you died here, the tower's right here? And that was like Weaver's objective when he killed you? What is the opponent's objective right now? They leave PL alone! Your PL is farming right here! You're bringing them to your PL! You're literally escorting them with your deaths to the PL. That's why if PL was playing top, it's way better for you to play bottom, right? But in this case, it's way better for you to play top because PL is farming Ancients. You see that?
Dire's bottom tower.
This is the kind of map movement shit that you 6k players are garbage at, okay? And I understand this isn't meant to be an insult. It means that there's a lot of components of your game that are good, right? You got to 6k. Great. You guys want to understand how bad you are when it comes to the macro movements of Dota? This is where it comes in. Like, this is the shit that you have to think about. And it's just, it really is what separates you from, like, the 7 to 8Kers. Like, 8K players, they know exactly what I just told you without having me explain it. They know, like, oh, PL's going to play. If he PL plays here, I know PL's the type of carry I want to play away from. If I play near him, they'll run into us. Okay, I need to play away from him. That means top, force somebody top, then go back bottom. Like, they know all this shit. But this is the kind of stuff that you as a 6k player, if you want to continue improving, will have to understand. Especially as an offlaner. Because, like, as a carry and a mid, maybe you can outskill them. Maybe you can, like, you know, just out-farm them. But as an offlaner, your map macro movements and itemization is pretty much like 80% of your impact on the game. It's like a large impact of your game, it's a large part of your impact.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower has been denied.
Dominating performance. Balance.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Are scanning.
I just want to emphasize to you that there's a lot of offlaners that will never go top. Beastmaster's a perfect example. Part of that's because he does create actual pressure on bottom tower. But there are heroes like Beastmaster that because of the way they work, they create space between themselves and the creep waves. I want you to think about that. Heroes like Beastmaster and PL, they like, as carries and offlaners, they summon shit and that keeps things at a distance. Those heroes are really bad in the safe lane, for the most part. Why? Because they're very diveable, but they're very hard to approach on the enemy's own side of the map. I don't know how to better explain that to you guys. I think a 6k player will understand it. I don't know how to explain that to a 2k player. You're probably just not ready to hear it. So basically, you play way better on that side of the map. But with a hero like Darkseer, a hero like Underlord, heroes that don't have to actually play on top of the creep wave, they can just kill it from wherever they need to, and they can just run away immediately. Like, you know, you plop down your Ion Shell, Underlord plops down his Q. They don't care what lane they're in. They just clean up the map. They literally just clean up the scraps. Like, whatever your team doesn't do well is what your hero's supposed to do. It's like, if your team has no tower pressure as Underlord, you're playing bottom. If your team has no dead lane D-push, you're playing top as Underlord. It's the same shit as Darkseer. It's the same shit. You just need to fill in the gaps. And I want you to watch this game back after I've talked to you about it for like the last 10 minutes, 9 to 19 or so, and just see how many times you think you could have gone top reasonably and just pushed it out. Like, you could have just gone top so many times here, and you just never did. And nobody else on your team really did either. The only other person I saw go top before this Pudge was a Pangolier. Would you rather your mid Pango be top, or would it rather be you? You know, like, I think you'd rather it be you. The beauty of Darkseer, but also, like, what relegates you to being the shit farmer, is that you can farm anywhere, because your Ion Shells are what farm for you. He has an Atos? Oh, he's going Glide mode. Unfortunate.
precious bounty.
So we have arrived top lane for the first time. Wait a minute. Our comeback play just happened? No! No! The one fight we won? No! No! That's coincidence, BSJ. I don't know how we came back. Sorry, I'm just kidding, man.
Dire are scanning. Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, so you're in the dead lane, and your job here is to push the wave, period. So what this difference is you need to understand the difference between you playing for farm and you playing for waves. It's the same idea as like that catapult at 10.5 minutes. You're here to push the wave, and that's it. You need to realize by on-shelling these creeps, you've now created pressure that the opponent has to deal with. Meaning if they don't come here, this lane's going to be really good for you. So once that pressure on whatever hero you're playing has been created, look at the lanes. I want you to ask right now what your team needs from you lane-wise. Look at where your team is. What decides what is a move that is good? The other two lanes. So what does your team need from you right now? Objectively, look at the map. You see your 4 heroes bottom, and you see what's happening in your lane, their lane, and the mid lane. What needs to be done? You need to Ion Shell top. You need to TP mid, intercept this creep wave, and meet up with them right here. How is there any other permutation of this that makes any sense? Just think about it. Nothing else makes any sense here. And that's why it's so beautiful to play heroes like Darkseer and Underlord, because you can just do this and leave. You can literally just walk away. You are lane cleanup. Why are we laning here? You know, like, you don't have to lane. Don't show yourself in lane. You don't have to. Look at, imagine how good the map would be right now if you had just TP'd mid immediately, pushed this out, and joined them.
Is under Radiant's bottom tower is falling.
You want to learn how to play the map, my friend? What decides whether or not an engagement is good? What decides whether or not an engagement is good? What decides whether or not an engagement is good? The other two lanes. You cannot be mid. You cannot be mid. Look at bottom lane and decide, let's go push top, guys. You just can't do that. You literally cannot do that. So what should the series of events be right now? Be mid, surge yourself to bottom lane. Why not TP BSJ? Because the fight's going to be top, guys. The fight's going to be top. In the other case, he was farming here, TPing here, and then running to the fight. In this case, he runs here, Iron Shells the wave, TP's top. Wow! Clean map movements. Hog! This lane gets pushed in. None of this shit's forced. Even if you get a 3-for-1, you'll get nothing off of it. Notice how, what happens? What happens after you won this fight? Your Pango goes bottom. If you had bottom pushed in, what do you think would happen right now? If you had bottom pushed in, what do you think would happen right now? You guys just take Roche. 100% for free, no question. Your Pango wouldn't be bottom. You guys would just be killing Roche. Mid lane would be your, like maybe one guy would go push mid real quick and you're taking Roche. 100%. 100% of Roshan right now. But instead, because you didn't push bottom first, no Roshan. No Roshan. I guess you guys get the tier 1 tower top, but that tower kind of doesn't mean much.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
Okay. So that would have been good. It would have been you clearing the mid wave. It would have been Pango like helping you with Roche, and you guys get a free Roche. Okay, now we're fighting mid again. The whole idea of the statistical probability of these fights being good for you is if you win, what do you get out of it? If you lose, what do you lose out of it? And the other lanes being cleaned up properly makes the win much more fruitful and the loss much less costly. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's not necessarily the odds of whether or not the fight's going to go right, which to some extent it is. But majority of it is like if it goes right, you know, you win a lot more. You win more with your good hands, you lose less with your bad hands, guys. And I'm going to say that I've analyzed this replay enough. I know this game goes on for, you know, another 12 minutes, but I've given my fair share of input on your gameplay. I hope you learned a lot from this. Darkseer is all about the macro movements on the map. He can clean up 2 lanes at once, no question. That's like the best part about the hero. So like get in the habit of shelling one wave and running to another to help your team set up for success. That's like the beauty of Darkseer. So definitely, you know, keep on your track of learning Darkseer. Hope you were a bit enlightened from this game. Good.